Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Try-F Podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Today, we are going to go over Mike Winger's reaction to Brandon Biggs' prophecy. He's going to talk a little bit about who Brandon Biggs is, and we're going to analyze his arguments about what the guy says and decide what we think. And then we're moving on to Kim Clement. I don't know how long we're going to stay on Mike Winger's stuff, but, you know, he's got, let's see, let me recommend his channel first before we shamelessly react to him. Hang on here. Actually, let me shift over to this while I click on Windows. Okay, so we can close that. All right. Mike Winger's channel is simply called Mike Winger. So he has a website, BibleThinker.org, and if you want to see what he has to say, then you can do that. I agree with him about 60, 70% of the time, maybe 50. Yeah. It's kind of a coin toss whether I agree with him or not on stuff, but he is very thorough. He is extremely thorough. So we're going to see what he has to say on this one. And with that being said, I'm going to shut up.
There is a new false prophet in town. He's absolutely blowing up on YouTube, and I believe he's actually very dangerous. I have a lot of evidence to share with you. It's going to be a long video. Buckle up. I'll try to put some timestamps using our little thing here if I can remember when to click the button. My name's Mike Winger. I want to help you learn to think biblically about everything. I'm a Christian, though you might think I sound like a skeptic when I cover Brandon Biggs. I'm going to tell you all about this guy. There are numerous false...
Another ad. Or maybe I just need to refresh again. Hang on. We're live. We're professional. Why you go all the way up there, man? Come on. So he's going to analyze the Trump prophecy first. We'll start there and see what he has to say.
Going, well, I don't know about that guy, but it sure seemed like an accurate prophecy about Trump. It was not. And that's what we're going to start today. We're going to start with this prophecy about Trump. It was not fake, but it was also not a true prophecy. Let's dig into it. Okay, this is the original Trump prophecy that you may have seen.
Up. And then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking. People say he's saved now,
Sorry,
but
did you say something?
Becomes really on fire for Jesus.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so I just now caught this, and I've listened to this like 3 times now, but bullets don't break your eardrum when they go by your head.
Yeah, that's what everybody was calling him out on. Yeah. That's what he got wrong.
They're not that loud.
Right. Yeah, he got that wrong. He inferred that it busted his eardrum because he saw the blood coming down the side of his face, but he was incorrect.
Okay, I didn't realize that was the main point of contention. Okay.
Yeah, that's what everybody's been kind of calling him out on.
Yeah, sorry, I'm slow.
No, you're good.
Jesus for what I saw coming.
That was months ago. And then people saw what happened with Trump. Then this video started being shared, and people were like, well, that sounds kind of accurate. That sounds kind of like what happened. And so they go, hey, look at this. It was an attempted assassination. This is how people are interpreting his prophecy. This is so important that we get the details. This is going to be a details stream. Details about his prophecy about the Hawaii fires. Details about his prophecy about Trump or other presidential candidates and who's supposed to run for the Democrats this year. Details about the dinar and the price of silver and, my goodness, cryptocurrencies that Brandon will tell you about. Details about an earthquake that's the biggest the world's ever had, splitting the United States in half. Details about everything. The details matter, including how Brandon reinterprets his own prophecies, and others help him with it sometimes. This is the reinterpretation. This isn't even what he really said. Okay, attempted assassination. He said something about a bullet plus an ear. Okay, well, the bullet flew right by his ear. In fact, it hit his ear. Damage to an ear. He said something about it, and he motioned to the right ear. He motioned to the not the left, but the right, or the left ear, rather. I think I wrote right, but I was wrong. He motioned to the correct ear. Was it right? Yes, I'm just getting confused because I'm looking at screens and that inverts images. At any rate, he motioned to the ear that Trump had shot. So this seems to be very, solid. Now, he wasted no time in taking total credit for a 100% accurate prophecy. Let's look at what he says right after the assassination attempt, he comes out with this video. You can tell how excited he is about it.
The prophecy that I gave that his eardrum would bust and that they would shoot and miss and they would gaze his ear and his eardrum would bust. It happened. If anybody goes and Googles it right now, he was at a campaign rally and they just tried to assassinate him. And I tried to warn everybody that this was coming. I gave this exact word.
This exact word. Remember that. This exact word. And now what he says, he even did what?
Told you the ear that they would miss. And I said it busted his eardrum. And I saw blood flowing down his face. And this is exactly what I saw. And
at a Trump rally.
At a Trump rally. It just happened. It just happened. This just happened. That's why I'm going live. To tell you that prophet.
Okay. The dude's excited because it just happened. Cut him some slack. I'm sure he misspoke. That's not telling, in my opinion. Cody, you obviously disagree, so tell me why I'm wrong.
He's just so emotional. Emotional people are.
I'm emotional.
Usually, are you full of shit?
No.
Are you sometimes full of shit?
No.
Are you more emotional when you're more full of shit?
That's a good question. I don't know. You'd have to ask Jess. She's probably the only one that really knows when I'm full of crap or not.
Because you have to convince yourself. So you have to use this charisma to convince yourself of the lie.
See, now I'm trying to think of a time that I lied to somebody and what my mannerisms were.
Did you use plosives?
No. Somebody else do this. I'm trying to think. I know I've lied to people. Just give me a minute.
I don't like thinking.
Me too. Thinking makes you have emotion.
Okay.
Nobody
My eyes are brown.
This
so
has
I'm
always
full of
been
shit.
my kind of thing. Like when let me say this. When I did some studying on body language,
Yeah.
people have kind of been taught how to lie or how they're supposed to lie and stuff. Like, for example, one of the first things you do to indicate that you're not lying is you look into somebody's eyes, right? Now, since that's been like a big rumor that, people who lie can't look into somebody's eyes, well, what do liars do? They all start looking in the eyes. But there's still a tell. They'll lock onto the eyes. They won't blink. They won't
It's
shift.
not natural.
Right. They'll start behaving in ways that are unnatural. Now, I don't think people are walking lie detector tests, and I kind of think it's a waste of time to try to guess,
For sure.
why people do what they do. So, it's not particularly telling to me people's reactions. Like, I would think, knowing my personality, that, and again, I can't think of a specific instance off the top of my head. I'm sure there is one. I'm not a very good person. But if I'm lying and I know I'm lying, I feel like I would get nervous and kind of freeze and get really, really stoic. You know what I mean? And try not to give tells.
You use more emotion to cover it up.
Well, it's like it's like having too straight a face in a poker hand. You know what I mean? It's like you get really, really stiff and still and quiet and kind of, looking around because you're nervous that somebody's going to call you out on your bluff. So you try not to give any tells. It's like that scene in what was it?
Right.
Was it Matlock or
that means you're.
Matlock.
Hey, listen, stop. That means you're a bad liar.
Okay, so I'm a bad liar.
Listen. So if you're at a poker table and you get all frozen up, that's anxiety, right? Because you're lying.
Right.
Okay. Because you're trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes.
Right.
But so the people that are really good liars, they use a lot of emotion to cover up that anxiety because they got like energy in their body and they're like, so they instead of freezing up, they move about and they get all hooping and hollering and use all this emotion.
Well, how do you tell between somebody who's genuine?
Then you can't see the lie.
But then how can you tell
can't see the anxiety.
But then how can you tell the difference between somebody who's just genuinely excited and somebody who's lying?
If it's self-serving or not.
See, I don't know.
Anxiety.
That's kind of my issue. Like the way I try to tell whether or not people are lying is to look for like inconsistencies and loopholes in the story, because I don't trust my own judgment in terms of body language or anything like that to be able to make an inference about whether or not somebody's lying.
Yeah.
I
mean, if somebody's like excited for someone else, that's genuine. Because it's not self-serving. If somebody gets like this guy, he's excited about himself. Like he gets to like grow his YouTube channel now, because like his prophecy came true. Like that's why he's excited. He's excited because it's a self-serving thing, and that's how you can kind of see through it.
Well, yeah, but why does that mean he's lying? I mean, it's one thing to have a vision.
Well, his
it's
body
another,
language is
it's
what
one thing to
it's
have
like
a vision.
clues.
It's another thing to be like, oh, the vision actually happened, and I just saw it with my own two eyeballs. Like, if I can just put myself in his shoes, if I'd had a vision and then the vision happened a few months later, I'd be pretty wound up too.
Well, yeah.
I just don't know why his emotion would be considered a tell. Like, it's a coin toss, you know what I mean?
Well,
yeah, he could be doing that to deflect, but he could just be genuinely excited. I don't know how you would know the difference.
It's not in just his body language is the tell. I mean, like that's what this guy's going over that we're watching the video on. It's in the details.
I know, but I
Like-
disagree with Mike on this. Like, this point is what I'm saying. It's like, I don't think you can tell. It's like, look at his finger. He's sitting there going, I told you. It could be that he's trying to
There's anger
deflect.
there.
Well,
There's
yeah,
anger
because
there.
maybe
You
people
can
were
see it.
calling him a nut. It's like
But if it's,
generally people who prophesy are called nuts. So if you're prophesying, have you ever seen Alex Jones? Do you realize how angry that man is? It's because he spent 40 years being told he was insane, and then COVID happened, and they're like, oh my gosh, he was right. And he's like, yeah, I was right. You could just almost see
I
him
don't
flipping
think
off the
that's why
camera
he's-
every day. I mean, I
don't
don't
think
blame
that's
him.
why he's
I would be
angry.
the same way if I were him.
yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. I kind of went through the Alex Jones season, and I had that anger, but it's still just anger, and it's
Yeah, what I'm
you
saying
don't-
is it's a coin toss. Like, this guy could be doing what he's doing for a variety of reasons. Like, you really
Name
can't
one.
use his state to infer anything. Like, you just have to look at his story. In my mind, which is why I disagree with this methodology. Like, of course, I don't even know if Mike's actually saying that. We haven't gotten far enough into the video to,
Well, he's saying pay close attention to the details because this guy, he makes bullet points and then expounds on them with all these details. And like, you don't really pay attention to the details. It's just the bullet points that he makes, like
Well,
the ear.
what
Like that's
he's-
like the one thing you think of.
What he said was Mike Winger was calling him out on this is exactly what I said would happen. And what's going to happen, or where I'm predicting this is going with the video, is he's going to say it's not exactly what happened because of the eardrum thing. My argument would be that's not fair because obviously, I don't know if it shows, it doesn't show when it's posted, but it's in the middle of the day. I'm going to presume this was about the time the assassination attempt happened, and he's gotten on his phone, and is making a car video because he's excited, and he's going, see, I told you. And he throws the word exactly in there for emphasis, but, the details about, the eardrum and all this haven't come out yet, or he's not aware of what exactly has happened. He just knows there's an assassination attempt and saw it on Twitter. So I'm like, that's not really fair. He's excited that the attempt happened, and it was part of his prophecy. That doesn't mean that he's aware of the eardrum thing at this point. That doesn't mean, it doesn't prove he's lying, because he's just excited. He's just wound up because everything just happened. And I'm like,
He's excited that a guy just got shot. That's kind of evil.
I'm not
Just
making
saying.
judgments about whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I'm speaking as a human with human emotions, and this is probably a human emotion. And I could see why somebody would be excited in this situation. I'm not making a judgment call on it. Trevor, you got any thoughts, man?
Sorry. My brain thought of the cartoon when you started talking about human emotions. What's that cartoon called?
Oh, Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
See,
like,
Joy has hijacked this man. He's not lying. He's been hijacked by a sentient emotion running around in his head.
That's anxiety posing as joy.
well,
I don't know if that's
it's
anxiety.
anxiety and joy fighting at the same
Well,
time.
actually, anxiety and excitement are kind of the same thing. They're just like opposite ends of the polarity.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
And now we're talking about spectrums.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's see if I'm right about where Mike's going with this.
You could be left.
Field.
It was fulfilled. Now he says it's exactly just like he said, exactly. It's very important that we realize at stage 1, he claims specific and exact, precise detail, not close, not pretty accurate, but absolutely accurate. That's how he initially said it. But this is an interpretation of his prophecy that is not true. He says busted eardrum, but then he points to an ear lobe that got hit. He gives new meaning to the definitions of words. Eardrum now means something other than eardrum. He also adds new information. He says that he saw blood going down Trump's face. Did you notice? In the original prophecy, there was nothing said. Oh, this is, here we go. I forgot to hit the counter. This is part 1, the Trump prophecy. He initially said nothing about blood on his face. Now he goes, I saw blood on his face. But he doesn't actually have any prophetic evidence. There's no video footage of him in hours and hours of prophesying on YouTube of ever saying something like that specifically. So I went through his stuff. Like, let's see here. This is the reinterpretation.
This is exactly.
Okay. Do you think that's fair, Cody? That there's no mention of blood on the face?
In the original prophecy?
In the original prophecy.
I don't remember. Is that true?
I think he's right. He motioned to the ear and said that, the eardrum got busted. He doesn't say why he thinks the eardrum got busted. He just says the eardrum got busted. Now, I would presume he would think that because of blood coming down his face. It wouldn't make any sense for him to say that the bullet goes past his, ear, and then, he didn't have no reason to think something happened as a result of the bullet. He could have, if it had just been a situation where the bullet missed him and then nothing happened afterward, he would have said, yeah, but the bullet missed. For him to say, well, and then his eardrum was busted, implies that he saw something specific that would make him think the eardrum was busted.
Yeah.
But he doesn't mention it in the prophecy.
So, yeah, I
don't think that's a
he's
significant
making vague
detail.
statements.
Huh?
I do. Yeah. I agree with the Brandon guy. Winger.
You mean Mike?
Mike
Winger? Yeah. So you're okay. So Trevor, what do you think?
There's missing context. Let's keep going.
Okay. All right.
What I prophesied, and it manifested even to the earlobe that they missed him, and it grazed his ear and busted his eardrum.
What I'm showing you on screen is the initial prophecy and now the reinterpretation when he's boasting about it. He's giving you different prophecy now.
Mm-hmm. And the bullet grazed his ear. It busted his ear, just like I told everybody. I saw blood flowing down his face. I gave this exact word. I even told you the ear that they would miss. Wow. It shook me.
Wow.
It is even, like I said, the blood flowed down his face just like I saw in the vision. And I said it busted his eardrum. And I saw blood flowing down his face. And this is exactly what I saw. It just happened.
Yeah. It's exactly what he saw, he says. It's not, though.
I just want to point out the bias here, which is okay because we're both biased. But prophecy versus boast. I just want to point that out. But to be fair, Mike's not pretending like he's being a neutral observer here, so I'm not going to complain about that too much.
Just look how angry his face is, bro. That's an evil person. He's a liar.
That is not an evil person.
He is a
I clicked on his face at a poor time. It's like, oh, look at that ugly son of a...
He's totally a beta.
Do you realize how many times I click on awkward faces while video editing? Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. So, no, I just don't think this is significant. I just don't. I'm like, look, he did say the eardrum was going to bust. He repeats it because he saw the blood on the face. Now, he didn't say the blood on the face in the previous one. But he did say that the eardrum was busted on the previous one, and he's repeating that in the car. That means at this point, he still thinks the eardrum busted. And he's saying, I knew the eardrum would bust because I saw the blood on the face. That's what he says in the car. But he didn't say the blood on his face thing in the initial prophecy. Now, I think he had to have seen something to make him think that the eardrum would bust. I'm presuming it's the blood because I don't know what else you would see to make you think that. But, I just don't think this detail Mike is bringing up is very telling. You're talking about somebody who's really riled up, who's probably going to misspeak anyway, because they're not thinking about what they're saying.
I don't know. You're making an awful lot of excuses for this guy.
Because yes, I am. Because I'm being the advocate, and I'm clearly in the minority, so I'm having to be very adamant to offset, the opposition. But, No, I don't think it's very significant. But also, just emotionally speaking, I don't know how we could have got the ear detail right. Like, I just don't. I'm kind of hung up on that. Also, I don't see a fake prophet making a prediction as specific enough as Trump will win the election. Like, if you're in this business, I have a hard time believing you're going to do something that topical. Like, let's look at the Benny Hinn thing, which is coming in the future. When you look at the Benny Hinn thing and he says that the homosexuals are going to be destroyed in 94, 95, you know, it's very obvious that's fake because it's like, it's going to happen in a year or two. Because they always do, the fake prophet guys always do that. Yeah. 88 reasons why the Lord will come back in 88. 89 reasons why the Lord will come back in 89. They always like stick it out in the far distant future, and then they can push the timeline back and forth, you know?
That's what NASA does with like space projects.
I'm sorry?
That's what NASA does with space projects. They're like, we're going to the moon in 4 years, and they don't do it.
Yeah, well, they're the government. But anyway, like, but yeah, this guy, either Trump wins or he doesn't. So if Trump doesn't win, he's out of a YouTube channel. That's a pretty solid claim. I have a hard time imagining a fake prophet having the nerve to do that.
I've been hearing that Trump was going to get the presidency for a long time.
I personally believed he was going to win.
I mean, I don't think it's a hard thing to come to.
I think if you're trying to make a YouTube channel and, you know, your best bet is to go with consensus, at the time when he shot this, they were going, oh, it's a coin toss. Oh, it's close. Oh, who's going to win? Which the media always does that because that's how they keep their ratings up. No, I didn't think it was going to be close either.
I thought it was like, dude, like, I think they stole the election. I think Trump knew they were going to steal the election from him.
In 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
And he knew it was going to be his turn after that. And I think he's going to be president for another 8 years. And then we're not going to have the binary system anymore.
I'm really glad Trump won, but I really hope we don't get another 8 years. We need to get out of this whole people as old as possible, you know, basically in power until they drop thing. I like Trump, but after Trump, we got Trump Jr., we got Vivek, we got Elon Musk. We've got a lineup of people that could run after him and keep the MAGA movement going. We don't need 8 years. And the man needs to actually be able to retire in peace. Good night. I don't want him to just run until he drops. I didn't want that for Biden either, by the way. But anyway.
I think they're all actors.
I think they've been actors for pretty much since the JFK assassination, except for Reagan, and they tried to assassinate him too.
Reagan was literally an actor. What do you mean?
Yes, he was literally an actor, but he wasn't one of their actors. I think when one of the tells is when a lone gunman shows up. Because do you remember the story of Reagan? It's like, oh, this guy tried to shoot Reagan because he was in love with Jodie Foster. Like, that's literally what they said. The guy that tried to kill Reagan was motivated by an obsession with Jodie Foster.
Yeah, and people probably believed it back then.
Yes, they absolutely believed it. Except for Steven Spielberg, who put the scene in a Minority Report where there was a bunch of pictures on the bed and the detective called bullcrap on the crime setup. That's a whole other thing. So people knew. And plus, what was his name? Hinckley? I think it was Hinckley. He met with the Bushes before the assassination, or he met with Bush Sr. before the assassination. Had dinner with him or something like that. So, yeah, it was a hit. And I think that's one of the tells is when they try to kill you, that's when you know they're not, your buddy.
Yeah.
And I also think, just speaking politically, I also think that's why Trump finally went with Vance and then started like grabbing Matt Gaetz and people that are thoroughly in the MAGA camp after the assassination, because before that it was like Marco Rubio and these guys that are kind of tied to the Republican Party. Like there was a dramatic shift in his behavior after the assassination. It was as if he was trying to make a deal and negotiate with these people before, and then when they took a shot at him, he got mad and was like, fine, I'm going to pick the people I want to pick, and we're going to burn this thing down. And that's why they're like in full-blown panic mode. So I think he was trying to capitulate before, but after the assassination, I think he started playing hardball with them. And so I think that's a lot of reason to think that he's not on their team. So, but that's, again, we're getting into politics. I'm trying to stick to prophecy.
Damn it.
Dad gummit. All right, Trevor, you got anything?
I just look how angry that guy looks. Man.
I picked a bad spot to stop the video.
Looks like he's gonna
He
cry
looks
all the
angry.
time.
Because he's excited. He's
No, 'cause
obviously
he's
very
emotional.
emotional right now. Huh?
He's always is.
What's
'Cause
wrong
he's
with
evil.
crying all the time?
It makes you sad, and nobody wants to be around you.
Aw.
Be
Oh,
happy.
never.
People are attracted to positive energy, not negative energy. Don't be a dick.
I'll be your positive, negative energy.
It's like John Wayne. I just had an image of John Wayne standing over some kid crying. Don't be selfish. Stop it.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, I'm moving on.
It's a good
So
idea.
the bullet misses in the initial prophecy. The bullet hits in the boast. Sound waves from the bullet bust his eardrum in the initial prophecy. I'll confirm this more later for those who might doubt my interpretation. It's his own interpretation you'll see later on. A bullet hits an earlobe in the boast. The eardrum is fine. There's a brand new prophecy here, 2 of them. He saw blood flowing down his face, and he even told us which ear. Now, do you guys hesitate for 1 second? You won't by the end of this video, but if now, do you hesitate to believe that if Brandon had pointed to the wrong ear, that he would just have said, yeah, I just motioned to an ear. I didn't know which ear it was going to be. I just motioned to an ear. He takes credit for something that was totally not explicit. Every detail he can take credit for.
That's fair, but he got the ear right. So how relevant is that really?
It's not.
How is it not? He got it
'Cause
right.
he's-
So
he's
this
just-
argument,
no,
again,
no,
is
no.
a coin toss.
He's like a talking head, dude. He's just he talks and makes so many movements, and he memorizes them all, so he can just go back and point to whatever he did.
You think he's got those
Wait.
hand gestures memorized?
Yes,
Oh, I don't think so. Why would you? Why?
because he's a great liar.
You think he's a great liar?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see what difference it makes. He got the hand right. He could have just as easily gotten it wrong. It's like, okay, well, how does that prove anything one way or the other?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's still just kind of like a
when the-
Rorschach test at this point. It's like, oh, maybe. I don't know.
when the termite guys come by your house to rip you off, you can let them, and I won't.
What do termites have to do with... What?
I'm saying you fall for gimmicks, bro. This guy's a liar.
You're just being mean now.
He bought
just
into
hurting
the
feelings.
termites.
Huh? What?
Why would you buy termites?
No, the pest control guys, they rip you off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they totally ripped us off when we bought
Yeah.
into them.
Yeah, they're liars.
I've
And
had
you can
good
tell
luck
because
getting...
they use.
I don't think that's a tell. I think some people are just expressive. Like, I want to hear... Like, I'm more interested in Winger's, like,
But you
accounts
can
of the
tell.
details of the prophecy. Like, okay, he says this, but I haven't heard anything yet that's, like, persuaded me. I'm like, well... The ear's a pretty specific guess. So, I don't know. I don't feel like which hand he gestured with is going to make a difference. That's going to depend on whether he's dominant, what hand he's dominant with.
I mean, he videotaped himself, so he could just go back and look at the video and be like, "Oh yeah, I
No.
did motion to the right ear."
No,
Right.
that interview he did that we looked at first, that was an interview with somebody else. So that wasn't his own personal recording. If you look at it, he's actually looking at somebody as he's talking. So it's an interview when he's making this
So
prophecy.
he couldn't have watched the video again. Is that what
Well, he
you're
can't reshoot it. Like, he could have watched it again, but he can't reshoot it. He's like talking to the guy in real time.
saying? No, I know, but you're saying, how could he get the ear right? Does it have any relevance? No, because you said, how is he going to memorize all his hand movements and stuff?
I'm
He
just
literally
saying.
videotaped it.
I'm just saying we can't know based on which direction he moved his hand. It's a wash. So I don't know
know.
why Mike is bringing up this point.
It's
just
bullshit
a
that he's
wash.
taking credit for it.
Well, you think it's true. I think it might be plausible. What I'm saying is that comment about which hand he gestured with wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter either way. Like, it's a wash. I mean, he could have just as easily, even if he'd got it right, he could have just as easily gestured with the wrong hand. I mean, I don't pay attention to left or right on the side of the face whenever I'm looking at people.
Right. That's what he's counting on.
especially on a camera.
Yeah, especially on the camera. Like I just don't.
Because
I don't pay attention to that. So.
right now, like if we did it just right, this is my right hand. Mm-hmm. Right. So why is it on the left side?
It's on the right side of you.
It's on my right. You put your left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a setting on the computer. I don't know how to find it.
Oh, you could just switch the video
Where
and
I
doctor
could
it.
Yeah.
doctor it to come over here.
Yeah.
There's
That's
that
The
too.
video was already posted. I'll give him that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just who knows? Like I don't feel like it makes the case one way or the other. So
I think this guy's he's good at pointing out liars, and you can.
he
he's telling you
did
how.
I will give him this. He has a marvelous video on Benny Hinn.
Yeah.
His Benny Hinn video is really good. So
That guy's.
we're gonna poke fun at him before the end of the night.
Oh, thank you. Come again, buddy.
Racist.
Before he does, the details he got wrong, he reinvents. That's not to say he wasn't remarkably, like, what happened? How did you knew he's at a rally. He's even outdoors. We'll get into this later. He talks about him being outdoors later on in a video that nobody seems to be talking about. So there's parts of it that are shocking, like a bullet, almost killing Trump. That is shocking. Okay. But he's certainly not the only person who is suggesting that Trump would have assassination attempts on him. This is something people have been predicting for a very long time, especially
Yes,
after the
that's
debate.
true.
When the debate happened, we had guys like Tucker Carlson,
The Simpsons.
or just, I don't know, like your grandpa.
Yes, that's true. There were a lot of predictions for assassination. Some of them were bullet in the rally, lone gunman. Jones was also screaming they were going to either like hit him with a missile in his plane, or they're going to put a bomb in the plane, which, as an aside, I think both Air Force One and the vice president's equivalent to Air Force One, they were both grounded at a certain point during the campaign. Could have been breakdowns, but I kind of think there were bombs and they didn't tell anybody. That's just my opinion, though. Can't prove it. And then there was the golf course thing. But anyway, yeah, there's been a variety of hypotheses about how the assassination would take place. But that kind of negates his argument. Because, yes, people have been screaming there was going to be an assassination because it was brutally obvious they were planning on assassinating the guy. I mean, but anyway, but there were a wide variety of theories as to how that would happen. So the fact that he was specific about the ear thing is kind of what makes that impressive because, yeah, there were theories about assassination, but there wasn't a uniform opinion about how that was going to happen. So,
Hey, I just want to point out how calm you pause this video at a random point. How calm Mike Winger's face looks.
I think he looks very angry. I'll tell you why I think he looks angry. Because I'm
He
not
doesn't look
looking at the
angry.
overexpressive face. You see. Can I point? I can't point. Dadgummit. Look at the. Maybe I got a cursor. Maybe I can do it with my cursor. Look at this. You see this brow ridge line? That's something I learned in body language. When you get mad, you scrunch your face up, and so you get these like ridge lines. And you
It's
see
not
how
scrunched,
you see
though.
how his eyebrows are tilted down.
Because he's
His
wearing
face is kinda
glasses.
crunched.
No, I don't see that at all.
Oh, wait.
It's from his glasses, bro.
Look. You've
I
got
mean, you have a way
slight
bigger screen than
45
me,
on the
but-
brow, not so much there, and then you've got a crease in the middle of his ridge line. That's what I was taught, not saying this is true, but I was taught in the books I read that that's more telling than somebody being expressive. So I think he's a little mad too. I don't think he's very, very good at composing himself, but I think he's a little emotionally invested as well.
Yeah, you must have a bigger screen or something because I don't see it.
Yeah, sorry. Viewers, you can decide whether I'm full of crap or not. So, but anyway, I mean, that doesn't matter. What people feel doesn't matter. Just what they say matters, and we have to weigh the argument. But anyhow.
Like everybody was out there saying Trump is going to have people try to kill him now. Now they're going to try and kill him. This was something that a lot of people were saying. They just weren't saying it
true.
in the name of God. Mm-hmm. That's why this becomes more important in the case of Brandon. So his reinterpretation is there. Now, I looked, I thought, where did Brandon talk about blood on Trump's face? Anywhere? So I have this search feature that lets me go through. It's not like I invented it myself, but there's a search feature that lets me go through YouTube doing a search on a given channel. And you can search for keywords and find every single time in the transcript of a video where that word pops up on that person's channel. I found 571 times that Brandon uses the word blood. He uses it a lot, but usually he's talking about the blood of Jesus, and he'll pray the blood over things. He uses that phraseology a lot. At no point in 571 matches across 155 videos, I looked at all of them, at no point did he talk about seeing blood on Trump's face. That just didn't happen. This is something that comes only after the visuals that everybody was stunned by, where there was blood on Trump's face. All of a sudden, there's a new detail that wasn't there before. Is it possible Brandon saw it? It's possible he saw it, but if I go over the actual evidence in the rest of this video today of his false prophecies...
What's crazy?
That's this guy actually went through all the trouble to go through every single video to look for that.
Mike Winger is thorough.
Yeah, he's being thorough.
Yeah, he's very, very good at what he does. So I don't agree with him all the time, but he's very thorough. He's very good. So yeah, yeah. Now I think we've already kind of went over the blood on the face argument. I'm not sure how significant that is because you had to have seen something to infer the eardrum busting. It was a wrong detail, but you had to see something to infer that detail. So
no, he didn't. He could have just made it up. So he's got multiple paths that he can take once it actually comes out.
I feel like that's very specific to say the eardrum busted. I mean,
you know
again,
how many people have been tricked by fortune tellers?
Huh?
You know how many people have been tricked by fortune tellers because fortune tellers are vague?
Okay, can you give me an equivalent example, like, of how they would give a detail like that to trick somebody?
How they would give a detail like that? Like a fortune teller?
Yeah. Like, okay, because let me simplify what I'm saying. I'm saying that false prophets tend to be very vague, and they tend to ride on hopium. And that's kind of the big tells with them. There's a lot of platitudes and hopium with their stuff, but not a lot of details. Now, a person can get stuff wrong, but I doubt somebody is a false prophet if they're risking their neck on details. And so if a fortune teller, if like the way you would prove me wrong is if you could demonstrate an example of a fortune teller risking specific details, but still being able to cover themselves with those details, you know, by like telling somebody something, you know what I mean? And then like somehow making a hypothesis about how he could do that with this vision that he saw. You understand? So like if I were to try to attempt to beat myself, let's say The Mentalist, you know, like maybe you saw a collection of details on somebody. You know what I mean? Like maybe...
Okay.
Gosh, this is hard. Let's say you saw a suntan line on a ring, so you infer the person's married. You know what I mean? But they took their ring off. And then you see, I don't know, Kleenexes in the purse. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of used Kleenexes in the gal's purse. Then you might risk an inference that she's left her spouse or husband because of an affair. You know what I mean? And let's say you say, I can see, or the spirits are telling me that your husband cheated on you or that you've just left. And she goes, I'm a lesbian. And then I could cover by going, well, she was clearly the male in your life. Or something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would have to be some kind of scenario that Brandon Biggs could pull off that was like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so he had to have like a initial basis to start, a jumping off point.
Yeah, he had to have some kind of detail to go off of.
The ear thing, I think it's an archetypal story that was meant to happen.
Yeah, but I just wish we could figure out where he could have got that and what the connections would have been. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what's his background in? I mean,
that I don't know. That's a good question. Like, what's his background? Where was he before this?
He's probably a fucking psychologist.
You think so?
I mean, probably. I don't know.
Trevor, Can you find Brandon Biggs' background for us, please?
Either that or he read what's that stupid book? Radical Rules for Radicals.
The Saul
Let's
Alinsky
go,
book?
Brandon. Sorry.
That's all right.
Huh?
The Saul Alinsky book? Rules for Radicals?
Rules for Radicals?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like how to be an awful person. By exploiting other people.
I think it's a little. Well, I don't want to talk too much, but I think it's a little more specific than that. But yeah, I got you. I got what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a whole book. I mean, I'm extremely simplifying it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just go on while Trevor's looking that up. See if we can figure out something about Brandon Biggs' background.
Hang on, I think I got a good. Fortune telling is the unproven spiritual practice of predicting information about a person's life. The scope of fortune telling is a principle identical with the practice of divination. Difference is that divination is a term for predictions considered part of a religious ritual, invoking deities or spirits. Yeah, it's just taking authority. You're guessing at vague, random things and then giving yourself authority of, God or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
and so that's what people identify with. It's like, oh, I worship God too, so this guy must be a Jesus or something.
Well, I'm curious to see if Mike Winger goes in this guy is influenced by a demon or something route. I don't know if he's going to go there or not. But
I mean, emotions are demons, so he's got some, but because he's, obviously very emotional.
I don't know if I agree with that. Emotions are demons?
Well, no. I guess I shouldn't have said that.
Emotions can be demonic at times.
Yeah, they can be influenced by them.
Emotions compounded upon and nurtured can become manifestations of demons.
Okay. I think I know what you're saying. I think I got you. All right. Are we ready to go on?
Yes.
All right.
Of him reinterpreting his old prophecies. Wait till you see the Hawaiian fires prophecy. He says he prophesied that. And when you see it, you'll go, yeah, this guy reinvents stuff after the fact. That's what he does. And this is not just a quirky thing like, oh, he's just some weird, harmless guy on YouTube. He is a dangerous, dangerous man. We're going to get into this in detail. I have lots of evidence for you guys. This is the deep dive into Brandon Biggs and his prophecy about Donald Trump. Welcome to the stream. If you're new here, my name's Mike Winger. I try to help people learn how to think biblically about everything. I make this video rebuking a false prophet as a Christian who believes in prophecy, believes in the Word of God, and I'm not even a cessationist for those who know what that is. That's not me.
Okay. We are about 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it to you guys. Do you want to go on to Kim Clement, the next prophet, or do you want to keep on Mike Winger?
I feel like that was a really thorough intro. So I agree with Mike Winger.
Okay.
I think.
So we're satisfied then. We'll move on to the next guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, guys, if you want to watch all of Mike Winger's video, you can find him on the YouTube channel, Mike Winger. And he's got a 2.5-hour video going into detail about Brandon Biggs, the Trump prophecy, and Brandon Biggs' past. And so if you want to watch his video and see if you agree with him, I would encourage you to do so. Like I said, I don't agree with Mike Winger on everything, but he does his homework, and he does a very good job. So, all right.
And also,
Yes.
if you want to look up this Brandon Biggs yourself, his YouTube channel is called Last Days.
Last Days.
And that's the prophet guy we were talking about.
Okay.
How scary. He thinks the world's going to end.
Yeah, his channel's a lot about
Fear-mongering.
Tribulation, revelations,
Yeah.
Yeah.
bad stuff that happens.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's all we got for this one. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.